Part 1, A Story of Humility. Long ago, as the Buddha and his disciples were walking on their alms round, the morning sun cast its first golden rays through the trees. Along the dusty road. I already have everything: wealth, power, status, fame. The whole city knows my name. I have no need for your teachings. The disciples fell silent. Light as the morning breeze, free of judgment or resistance. He looked deeply into the man's eyes and asked softly, "If you bring a gift to someone, but they refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man hesitated for a moment, caught off guard by such a simple question. Then he answered, "Of course, it still belongs to me." The Buddha nodded calmly. Exactly. He had been accustomed to giving orders and being obeyed. He was used to bestowing riches and being worshipped in return. But here stood someone who could not be dazzled by gold, could not be intimidated by power, and could not be shaken by pride. In that moment, something cracked open in his heart. He realized that the arrogance he had carried, the clinging to his self, was not a crown of victory but a burden that weighed him down. Though he had overflowing treasures, though the city bowed at his feet, he had never once tasted true peace. We discover a profound lightness. Think of a person who is deeply at peace within themselves. They do not shout for attention. They do not need to boast to feel valuable. They do not scramble to outshine others. And because of that, they radiate a quiet dignity, and others naturally respect them. Humility is not measured by words but by how we live. Though revered by kings and commoners alike, he wore a simple robe, walked barefoot, and held a begging bowl just like any other monk. He never claimed superiority. He never used power to impress. His strength was silence, his wealth was wisdom, his gift was peace. And that is why today we turn again to these timeless lessons, stories of humility and letting go. They are not only echoes from an ancient past, they are lamps still burning for us in this modern world. In a time of noise, competition, and relentless pressure, we need this wisdom more than ever. Maybe you are exhausted from holding up the mask of a flawless self before the world. But here is the truth: peace does not come when the ego is satisfied. Peace comes only when we put the ego down. When we believe only our opinion matters and dismiss the voices of others. We offer the gift of judgment in our families, when we demand that our loved ones live according to our expectations. We offer the gift of ego on social media, when we carefully craft an image of ourselves to appear better, smarter, or more successful than everyone else. And just like in the story, these gifts are rarely accepted. Who truly welcomes arrogance? Who cherishes judgment? Who finds joy in another's pride? No one. And so, like the Buddha explained, the gifts return to us. Think about your own life. Perhaps you felt the sting of pride before. Maybe you clung so tightly to being right in an argument that you lost the warmth of the relationship. Deep inside you still felt hollow. That hollowness is the echo of the ego. No matter how much you feed it, it never feels full. But humility is different. Humility doesn't demand. People collaborate. Instead of defending mistakes, they learn from them. Instead of clinging to titles, they focus on the value they bring. But it also liberates those around us. It creates a space where others feel safe, respected, and seen. Letting go of arrogance does not mean erasing yourself. Only humility brings us closer to happiness. The choice is always in our hands. Each day, we can either hand the world the gift of ego, or the gift of humility. One returns to us as suffering. Two monks were traveling together along a muddy road. The rain had fallen the night before, and the ground was soft, wet, and difficult to cross. As they walked. But inside, his mind was filled with turmoil. We are monks, he thought to himself, we are supposed to avoid physical contact with women. How could my teacher break this rule so easily? Why are you still carrying her in your mind? That simple reply pierced the heart of the young monk. He suddenly saw the truth. The real burden was not the act itself, but the clinging to it. The elder monk had helped with compassion, and then moved on, free of attachment. But the younger monk had carried the memory all day, letting it cloud his mind and weigh down his heart. Connecting with modern life. Have you ever noticed how much we resemble that young disciple? We may not be walking down a muddy road with a monk, but in our own way. An old memory that replays again and again, these become the heavy stones we pile into the backpack of our hearts. Think for a moment. The act of carrying the woman was not a weight to his teacher. The elder monk placed her down and walked away freely. But the disciple carried her in his mind long after her feet touched the ground. This is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to put down what no longer serves us. It takes wisdom to see that clinging does not protect us but binds us. And it takes humility to accept that life will never be fully under our control. So ask yourself now, what stone am I still carrying? What weight from the past do I insist on dragging through today? We will lose part of ourselves. But the opposite is true. When you release the wound, you find yourself more clearly than ever. The young disciple learned that lesson through his master's gentle reminder. We, too, can learn it each time we choose peace over pride, forgiveness over resentment, flow over fixation. In the end. And when we do, when we truly let go, our steps become lighter, our hearts more open, and life itself feels like a vast sky with no weight pressing us down. That is the gift of humility. The power of release, and the invitation of the Dharma for our modern lives. Part 5, The Lesson on Humility. One day, in front of a large crowd, a man came to insult the Buddha. His words were sharp, filled with anger, as if he wanted to provoke a fight. He hoped to see the Buddha lose his calm. To prove that this revered teacher was no different from anyone else, that even he could be dragged down by anger. The crowd grew silent. All eyes were on the Buddha, waiting to see how he would respond. But instead of reacting, the Buddha simply smiled. He remained still, quiet, and unshaken, like a calm lake untouched by a storm. The man who had come to humiliate the Buddha suddenly realized that his anger had only reflected back onto himself. This story carries a timeless truth. To fight back, to prove ourselves. But in doing so, we pick up the gift of anger that was never truly ours. Humility gives us the freedom to step out of the cycle of reaction. It doesn't mean we are weak, it means we are wise. We choose peace over pride, understanding over ego, compassion over conflict. Carrying nothing that does not belong to us. This is the hidden power of letting go, the power to remain unshaken, no matter what the world throws at us. Part 6. Quick reactions, and constant comparison. Who has the stronger opinion? Who wins the argument? Who earns more money, gains more followers, or achieves the next big milestone? It's so easy to get caught up in this endless cycle of proving ourselves. We want to show we're right, to defend our image, to make sure no one underestimates us. And yet. And ask yourself, if I don't pick up this anger, does it still have power over me? You begin to see the truth. The insult itself is not what hurts. What hurts is the ego's insistence on holding it. Replaying it, feeding it. Without your reaction, the insult dies where it began, with the person who gave it. This is the art of humility in practice. Think about how often, in daily life, we could save ourselves suffering by simply not picking up what doesn't belong to us. A coworker criticizes you unfairly. Instead of replaying their words all day, what if you just let them go? The weight of constant defensiveness, comparison, and pride begins to fall away. You no longer need to prove yourself in every conversation. You no longer need to be the loudest voice in the room. Some may even mistake it for weakness. But in reality, it is the deepest form of strength, the strength to remain calm in the storm, to respond with compassion instead of retaliation. I no longer need to win every battle. I choose peace over being right. I choose freedom over validation. And here's the paradox: when you stop chasing recognition, you naturally begin to radiate a presence that others respect. True respect is never demanded, it is earned through the way you carry yourself, with patience, gentleness, and wisdom. You correct not to win, but to heal. Imagine if more of us lived this way. Imagine social media filled not with outrage, but with patience. Every time you let an insult return to where it came from, you are planting the seeds of peace. And the more you practice, the more you realize, humility is not something you do occasionally. It becomes the way you are. It becomes your natural state, your way of moving through the world. You no longer feel the need to fight for your ego. That the world's noise can no longer disturb you. And in that peace, you discover the strongest version of yourself, the self that no insult, no criticism, no judgment can ever touch. Part 7. Letting go to heal relationships. In almost every relationship, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, the ego silently plays its part. It whispers inside us, feeding the desire to be understood, to be recognized, to be acknowledged as right. It demands loyalty, attention, validation. And when these needs are not met, conflict arises, leaving behind tension, hurt, and disconnection. Think of a time when you had an argument with someone close to you. Perhaps it was a partner, a parent, a friend, or a coworker. Beneath the words exchanged, wasn't there often this silent demand? See me. Agree with me. Admit that I'm right. The more we hold on to this demand, the heavier the relationship feels, until love, trust, and warmth are buried under layers of pride and resentment, spreading discontent like a quiet poison. Let's imagine two people locked in conflict. Each believes they are right. Each clings tightly to their own story. What happens? The harder they cling, the farther apart they drift. Words become weapons. Silence becomes punishment. The bond that once felt so alive begins to wither. Now imagine one of them letting go, not giving up on themselves, but simply loosening the grip of the ego. Instead of needing to be right, they choose to be compassionate. Instead of demanding understanding, they choose to listen. Suddenly, the energy shifts. The space that once held anger now has room for healing. This is the power of letting go in relationships. It is not about losing. It is about choosing freedom over control, connection over pride. Take, for example, a family disagreement. Maybe a parent says something harsh. Maybe a sibling criticizes you. Your ego rises instantly, they're wrong. How could they say that? I deserve better. If you let this voice dominate, you carry resentment for days, weeks, sometimes even years. And what does that resentment do? It builds walls where there could have been bridges. Instead, try this practice the next time hurt arises. Pause before reacting. Take a slow breath. Feel the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face. Notice how the ego wants to strike back immediately. Bring compassion into your awareness. Silently repeat, may they be happy. May they be free from suffering. Even if you don't fully feel it yet. The act of wishing well softens the edge of your heart. Choose forgiveness. Not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is not approval of what happened. It is the act of refusing to carry the poison any longer. When you practice this, something amazing happens. The anger you once thought was unshakable begins to dissolve. The story of what they did to me loses its weight. And slowly, you notice the relationship lightening, opening, breathing again. Boundaries are important. Letting go doesn't mean you endure abuse. It means you learn the difference between protecting your peace and defending your pride. It doesn't excuse what was done, but it releases you from the grip of pain. It opens your heart to peace again. The Buddha's teaching on compassion reminds us. A living example. Imagine a friend who betrayed your trust. At first, the wound feels raw. The ego says, never forgive. They must pay. But if you carry that anger, every encounter, every memory. Letting go is not about losing, but about healing. It is not about being less, but about becoming whole. When you release the need to be right, you make space for harmony. And alive. Conclusion: walking the path of humility, forgiveness, and freedom. Life, in its deepest essence, is not a battlefield where we must constantly prove ourselves right, defend our pride. When we practice humility, we discover a strength far greater than the ego could ever offer. To be humble is not to be weak, it is to stand firmly rooted in peace, unaffected by praise or blame. Success or failure. Humility frees us from the exhausting performance of the self. It allows us to meet life as it is, without masks, without defenses, without the burden of always needing to win. When we practice forgiveness, we touch the true meaning of compassion. Forgiveness does not mean approving of hurtful actions, nor does it mean forgetting pain. It means refusing to carry the poison of anger in our own hearts. It means choosing not to let hatred define who we are. To forgive is to say, I will not be chained to the wounds of the past. I will walk free. And in that freedom, love can flow again. When we learn to let go, we return to the essence of love itself. Relationships flourish not when we try to control, but when we allow. To let go is not to lose, it is to make space for something higher, purer, and more enduring to arise. The story of the Buddha and the angry man reveals this truth in its simplest form. We can choose freedom. And yet, this path is not easy. It requires practice. It requires vigilance. It requires us to face our own ego, the part of us that longs to be right, to be superior. They are invitations to step out of ego and into compassion, to respond not with reaction, but with awareness. Imagine what the world could be if more of us lived this way. If your words may become a light for someone else who is struggling. Often, it is the story of one heart that awakens the courage in another. Together, we can create not just a channel, but a circle of healing, a place where wisdom is not just spoken, but lived, where compassion is not just an idea, but a practice, where each of us supports the other in walking this path. The choice is yours. Every moment is a doorway. And beyond that doorway lies a vast sky of peace, waiting for you to step into it. May you walk with humility. May you love with compassion. May you live with freedom. And may your heart always remember, what you do not accept cannot harm you, what you release becomes your liberation. If this journey resonates with you, thank you for listening. And thank you for choosing peace, again and again. May your path be light, your heart be vast, and your life be free.